So what is the purpose of Islamic economics? All of the above, that is description, explanation, prediction and persuasion, all of these will be a part of Islamic science, Islamic economics. There is no difference here, but of course there is a paradigm shift. Purpose of being a blessing for mankind. While conventional science makes no value judgment, tries to avoid value judgment, this became a part of science after the Enlightenment movement, when they tried to move away from religion. But this is not a restriction in Islamic science. There is no need to avoid value judgments. We have to try to make science a blessing for mankind, and whatever you can, value judgments are necessary for this purpose, you make those value judgments. How it is possible to be a blessing, what needs to be done, how the arrangement will be made for this purpose, all these things will be a part of science. In other words, it will not be just a description, an explanation and prediction or persuasion, but also a way to realize the ultimate objective, what ought to be. So the purpose of science will not be just to say what is, but also what ought to be. And the what ought to be is the blessing. We have sent you as a blessing for mankind. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And to be a blessing for mankind, all human beings, whether they are white or black, whether they are rich or poor, whether they are male or female, adult or children, makes no difference. We have to be a blessing for all. But Alameen in Arabic does not stand just merely for mankind, although it is normally translated as mankind. We have sent you as a blessing for mankind, but Alameen stands for everything, not just human beings, but also animals, birds, insects, and the environment. So we have to be a blessing for for human beings as well as all of the others. And this creates a wider perspective for Islamic economics and any other science in Islam. So the implications of this verse for economics, what are the implications of this particular verse for economics? We have to help realize the maqasid al-sharia, the objectives of the sharia. Now this we cannot go into this area, the maqasid al-sharia, because that will take a long time. But there is a small book of mine on the Islamic vision of development in the light of Maqasid al-Sharia. It is available on my website. Any one of you who cares to read it can have it. So the implications of this verse for economics, to help realize the Maqasid al-Sharia and then to realize real human well-being. And real human being, how can it be realized? This is where the difference arises between different cultures and societies. Although everybody wants to ensure real human well-being, but there is a difference of opinion about what constitutes well-being. For some cultures, the purpose is to maximize wealth and want satisfaction. So that's why conventional economics generally talks about maximizing wealth and want satisfaction. But will this alone lead to well-being and happiness? Within the Islamic perspective, no. This alone cannot generate human well-being. There has to be something else, and that is the spiritual aspect of life. In other words, not just material well-being, but also spiritual well-being, so that the two together go together and create real human well-being. So what is the difference between science and religion here? Science tries to create mastery over physical universe by establishing the cause and effect relationship. But religion does not oppose this. This is a part of religion, but actually the purpose of religion is to the reform of the human well-being and the institutions and environment that affect his well-being. So, when you talk of religion, science automatically becomes a part of it, because you cannot increase human well-being or ensure human well-being without establishing the cause and effect relationship that science stands for. You use this to improve the condition of human beings and make their life better. This is the purpose. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We cannot be a rahmah or blessing until we solve the problems of people, and the solution of these problems requires the establishment of the relationship between cause and effect, in which science helps us. So, maximization of wealth and want satisfaction, which is generally emphasized greatly in conventional economics, is not the only purpose of Islamic economics. It is, there has to be also the spiritual and moral uplift of human beings. So the material uplift is taken care of by economics, even in conventional economics, but it doesn't talk of a spiritual and moral uplift. And spiritual uplift, of course, requires a lot of things, but one of them is the nearness to God. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. It is the remembrance of God which gives peace to heart. Now let's now come to the major concepts of conventional economics. One of the first concept is rational economic man. But rationality can be seen in many different ways. Conventional economics emphasized only one aspect of rationality, and that is to serve one's self-interest. If you serve your self-interest, you are rational. If you don't try to serve your self-interest, but you try to emphasize social interest, there is something missing in your rationality. So altruism is not a part of conventional economics, nor making sacrifice for the well-being of others a part of conventional economics. Rational economic man tries to serve his self-interest. And in the process of serving his self-interest, he will serve social interest. This is what Adam Smith emphasized. In other words, the example he gives in his book is that the baker bakes good bread not because he is interested in social interest, but because he wants to serve his own self-interest. He wants to make money, and so he bakes good bread, because if he doesn't do this, he won't be able to sell his bread and won't be able to compete in the market. He charges a very high price. So he keeps the price at a certain level where it is competitive, and he bakes good bread so as to be able to sell a larger quantity of bread and thus maximize his profit. So rationality in conventional economics, according to Adam Smith, is the serving of self-interest. You try to serve self-interest, and in the process you serve social interest. So the baker bakes good bread not in the interest of social interest, but to serve his own self-interest. And in the process, he serves social interest. So rationality in conventional economics comes from the serving of self-interest. But rationality could have meant several different things. This is not the concern of conventional economics. For instance, rationality normally would mean ability to think logically without being swayed by whims, prejudices and superstitions, and taking into account all different aspects of life, how they are affected, and whether it is just material aspect of life or the social aspect or the spiritual aspect. We take into all these if we are rational. Conventional economics, the only thing that they emphasize in terms of rationality is the serving of self-interest. Rational economic man, this rational economic man is the man who tries to serve his self-interest and to maximize his want, his wealth and want satisfaction. There is no room for sacrifice in conventional economics because Pareto optimum is to be better off without anyone else worse off. To make somebody better off without making anyone worse off. This is, according to a number of economists themselves, a non-starter. Because sometimes it is necessary to make some people a little bit worse off to be able to make a large number of other people better off. You tax people, you tax the rich people to be able to make the life of poor people better off, or to make the life of all people better. Like you use the tax money to improve the quality of roads or other facilities that human beings need. You take tax people for redistribution to the poor people so that you make their life better, you fulfill their needs. This kind of rationality does not exist when we say the satisfaction of self-interest. Islam does not oppose the serving of self-interest. No, but within the constraints of social interest. If in the serving of my self-interest I am going to harm other people, then this is not allowed. I have to try to serve my self-interest in a way that I do not cause harm to any other person. So rational economic man is one of the first principles of conventional economics,